Greetings once more, gentlemen and lady. Yes, I know there's at least one of you out there. Hello to you. You've requested it, and so we're giving it to you. And that is information about how Psykers work in Dark Heresy. And I thought, who better to explain it than to give him his own moment in the spotlight, our GM, Mr. Lory Cozens. Take it away, Lory.
In the realm of Dark Heresy, Psykers are primarily sacrificed via the black ships that carries them to Holy Terror. These sacrifices over 1,000 a day to the God Emperor to keep the machine that sustains his life force. Those that are not sacrificed become Imperial Psykers, sanctioned, but even they are still watched. For the Taint of the Warp, that is what makes a Psyker, for he can, in essence, change it, channel it, but at great cost and personal risk. And then there are those who fall prey to the Taint of the Warp, sorcerers of chaos, whether they be full-fledged chosen sorcerers or just minor heretics. Within the sanctioned Psykers, we have the Astral Paths, those who send messages across the great vast distance of space, from planet to planet, from ship to ship, where sort of normal transmission of messages cannot be done. Alongside these, we have the Navigators, those who traverse the warp on their ships, require a navigator's help to determine the ship's position, for travelling through the warp is a dangerous thing in itself, for one could come out years later than their initial departure time, or in some cases even arrive before they even left. In mechanical terms, a Psyker is officially just a wizard in space. They choose from a certain set of Psyker powers, which are basically their spell list. In order to cast Psyker powers, they require a certain psi rating. As an Imperial sanctioned Psyker, you start with a psi rating of 1. This can be improved upon by purchasing the psi rating talent multiple times up to a maximum of 6. At certain psi rating intervals, you gain access to various minor Psyker powers, or a choice of either taking certain Psyker powers from a discipline, there are 5 disciplines, we'll get onto that later, and improving upon extra Psyker powers in that discipline, or taking a new discipline. A Psyker rolls a d10 per psi rating level. They then add their willpower bonus, and then any extra bonuses that they may get from any skills or talents to this roll. This is where we meet this d10, this dice roll, has to either equal or beat psychic powers' psychic threshold, the power rating, if you will, or the casting roll. On the roll of a 9 on any of the dice, a Psyker incurs a psychic phenomenon. Now, these are usually just minor mishaps. Nothing major can usually happen from this. However, if you roll on the percentile dice roll to determine which one you get, you have a chance of gaining Perils of the Warp. Now, Perils of the Warp are a lot more dangerous. Perils of the Warp can actually possibly kill your character, if not saved via use of a fate point. Perils of the Warp can determine from, well, as I just said, killing the character, to something rather minor in its own way, like taking you out of play for various different ways, like reducing your willpower bonus, making it harder for you to actually cast effectively, or in some cases even summon minor demons that might annoy you for a certain amount of period. On the terms of psychic powers, we have the minor psychic powers and the major psychic powers. Minor psychic powers are not within any of the psychic disciplines, and can usually be cast upon just one dice roll. So minor psychic powers range from basic stuff like an inspiring presence, or creating a light, a torch, in front of the caster, which they have to hold in their hand. On each psychic power, there is also Overbleed. Overbleed is where you exceed the power threshold by a certain amount, and exceeding the power threshold by each degree of this amount can increase the effectiveness of the power. In the same sense of minor psychic powers, it usually makes it easier for you to call something to you with a movement of an object, minorly. Also, when you are sanctioned, you have to increase your character's starting age. An Imperial Sanctioned Psyker is sanctioned and trained for a very long period of time aboard the black ships bound for Terror. Holy Terror, as they call it. And this sanctioning process can give you some oddities. There is a table that you roll from to determine your Imperial Sanctioning side effect. And these side effects can give you bonuses, or they can, well, just like anything else, give you problems, where you may have to mutter under your breath certain litanies constantly. Trying to talk without muttering these litanies is a challenging for you. The various schools or psychic disciplines that you choose from are Biomancy, Divination, Pyromancy, Telekinetics, and Telepathy. Now, Biomancy itself is the ability to alter the body, alter the flesh, to change the shape of yourself. Or, in some points of this school, you can heal yourself, regenerate lost limbs, and heal your body quickly over time. Divination, well, that can be pretty self-explanatory. You divine the future. You can tell what may happen or has happened. Pyromancy, again, another self-explanatory. You're a pyromaniac who likes to throw fire all over the place. Telekinetics, the ability to use or move objects with your mind. However, there are also powers that allow you to basically become a Jedi, throwing force bolts or crushing people with your mental strength. Telepathy, the ability to read minds of others, to implant thoughts into someone's mind, to make them think that what they're doing is their own free will, but you've forced them to do it. Psychic disciplines can be improved upon. When you take a psi rating of 3 or higher, you can then choose psychic powers equal to your willpower bonus from that discipline. When you get 10 or more from a certain discipline, you receive the mastery trait to that discipline, reducing the power threshold, or the PT, by 5 for mastering that discipline. Now, when you hit rank 3, 4, 5, and 6 on psi rating, you can take powers from one discipline, or take more powers from a discipline you already know. You also gain a certain amount of minor Psyker powers equal to your willpower bonus as well. The Psyker's talents as well will also allow him to take minor and major Psychic powers being from the disciplines as talents, and he can take multiples of each one. An example of a Biomancy psychic power is Bio-Lightning. This power allows you to overcharge your natural body's static energy and shoot lightning bolts from your fingertips, pretty much. In the Divination discipline, there are things like Precognitive Strike. Precognitive Strike allows you to, in its description anyway, react like a spider on a web, detecting threats and allowing you to strike out at anything that gets within range. This, in practice, increases your weapon skill or ballistic skill by a certain amount for the duration of that turn. In Pyromancy, an obvious one is pretty much the fireball, or the firebolt. You pretty much throw a ball of fire at your opponent. It's just like a fantasy Wharf fireball, or just any other fantasy fireball in any sort of system. In telekinetics, we have the force bolt. This pretty much fires an invisible ball of force at an enemy. You've also got stuff like telekinetic shield. Telekinetic shield pretty much adds armor points per willpower bonus to all body parts. This is pretty much a force shield in terms of 40k tabletop and invulnerability save. Telepathy. A useful telepathy power I have discovered is Inspire. You can inspire your allies or NPCs, makes all characters under this effect immune to the fear and pinning. Right, that pretty much covers it for how Psyker powers are utilized and what Psykers are like in the 41st millennium. I'll leave you to digest this information, and for those who are planning to use a Psyker in Dark Heresy, I hope you have found this video of use. Fare thee well, and remember, hope is the first step on the road to disappointment.